Welcome to the Lunch and Learn video series brought to you by the Gateway Down Syndrome Association. Today we will learn more about the Albert Pujols Wellness Center for Adults with Down Syndrome and what it has to offer our families.
Today's Lunch and Learn features Courtney Gehrer, LCSW at the Albert Pujols Wellness Center for Adults with Down Syndrome.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm looking forward to telling you a little bit about our program, what we do, how you can access services through us. We are the Albert Pujols Wellness Center for Adults with Down Syndrome, and we are associated with St. Luke's Hospital in Chesterfield, and that's where we are located. But we serve all of the Missouri area and anybody who wants to drive from Illinois. So just kind of a little bit of history of the Wellness Center. Is the Wellness Center, when it initially opened its doors in 2009, we were the first of its kind in our area that specifically addressed the need for wellness services and programs dedicated solely for adults with Down syndrome. And sort of a little backstory, our program began as a collaboration involving some very, very passionate mothers, including Dee Dee Pujols and a previous CEO of St. Luke's Hospital. And Albert Pujols, as part of that advocacy and collaboration with that mothers group and St. Luke's CEO, Albert Pujols directed a generous donation through the Major League Baseball Players Trust, which enabled our center to open its doors. And since its inception, the Wellness Center has seen over 500 clients through our clinic throughout the state of Missouri and people coming from Illinois as well. The services that we provide, it's kind of two different types of services we provide here. First and foremost, we have our Wellness Center clinic. Our clinic is ran by our medical director, who is currently Dr. Cynthia Pelker. Dr. Pelker is a family medicine provider who has been part of the Wellness Center for almost 10 years now. And she would also be the first to share that she is also the proud niece to an uncle with Down syndrome. And that has no doubt helped guide her passion for providing care to our friends with Down syndrome. Our clinic provides services to individuals 17 years of age and older. We don't require a referral from any primary care or anything like that. You can just call us and schedule an appointment. The clinic appointment involves a comprehensive medical examination with a focus on transitional evaluations from pediatric care, also new patient evaluations. We see a lot of families who live in more rural parts of the state who come from us. Often we hear that, their primary care, who they're happy with, but they know that their loved one is the only person with Down syndrome that their primary care may be seeing. So sometimes we see a lot of folks who drive from several hours away just to come in just for a check-in, just to make sure everything's being covered that needs to be covered in terms of their medical care. And then we also see people locally. We have families that cycle in yearly just in collaboration with their primary care provider. We provide referrals to specialists as needed, social work assessments, and associated referrals related to that. And then we also have a licensed nutritionist dietitian. And so during our clinic, you will receive a nutritional assessment and recommendations with the registered dietitian. Some things to note about our clinic is that appointments with Dr. Pelker are for consultation only. So we do not serve as a primary care clinic. And our clinic is held on the second Friday of each month. The other part of our wellness center, a big part of our wellness center, are our classes and programs. Our classes are offered in 4 6-week sessions throughout the year. They're typically offered Monday through Thursday evenings and are located on the St. Luke's campus. The majority of our classes are in-person classes. We do offer a few virtual classes here and there, and we're recently had requests to try and offer a few more virtual classes. So that's something that we're looking into. there is some consistency across the sessions in terms of what is offered, but we also try and mix it up a little bit and offer some variety to keep people interested. And then outside of those more formal 6 weeks class sessions, we offer some more limited programming over the winter and summer breaks. And so on this slide, you see some examples of some of the classes that we have offered, nutritional programming, with our dietitian, music programs, our glee choir, hand chimes choir. Those two are kind of staples of our programming. So those are offered each session. I think there would be a riot if we tried to cancel or reschedule any of our glee choir or hand chimes choir classes. Arts and crafts, book club, other socialization programs, friendship classes, our fitness classes. We try and offer as many movement related classes as possible because you know that's really important. So whether it's yoga, strength training, cardio, balance training, Zumba, Tai Chi, country line dancing, or any different types of dancing we can get in, as well as speech language programs. This isn't formal speech language therapy, it's classes. They're facilitated by St. Luke's speech language pathologists, but because it's in a group setting, we can't do individualized support, but the focus is on communication skills. But those have been popular as well. We also offer parent and caregiver seminars sporadically throughout the year. And these are offered on a range of topics: long-term financial planning, ABLE accounts, special needs trust, coping with grief and loss, and other mental health related topics. Medicaid waivers is one we're doing in January. I really try and elicit suggestions from parents periodically to ensure that we're covering topics that are relevant to our clients and families, and that we're also not duplicating information that is being provided already by some of our other community partners. These are just some fun pictures of from some of our classes, some of our clients. This is during one of our crafts classes. We also have an annual holiday party. Our holiday party is a little bit early in the year. We call it the holiday season kickoff party. We like to beat the rush of other holiday parties going on out there and before the holiday season gets too chaotic for most people. So we start the evening with performances by our hand chimes choir, our glee choir, and our guitar group. So this is on the left is our glee choir. On the right is our guitar group getting ready to perform Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. And then this is our hand chimes choir, which are, interestingly enough, our hand chimes choir predates the Wellness Center. It was actually part of a girlfriends group, which was a long-standing group of DSA knows these ladies very well. They're now all well into their 30s, but they have been the girlfriends group, and through, I think it was a separate church, they were doing a hand chimes choir. And then that kind of got absorbed by St. Luke's. So we've been doing hand chimes with our music instructor for many, many years, and it's pretty cool to hear. We're also going to be doing, a side note, a holiday performance at Surrey Place at the nursing home. Going to do a holiday performance of our glee choir and our hand chimes for the residents there in December, which I'm really looking forward to. This is our Tai Chi class. They have performed at, it was pre-COVID, but they performed there was an annual Tai Chi festival. This may not be exactly what it was called, but where they went and performed. And we are looking into, our Tai Chi instructors are pretty amazing. They would like to reach out to the Missouri Botanical Garden during the Japanese festival next year and see if, because they always have performances of Tai Chi and other stuff, and see if we may be able to perform there. So we're always looking for opportunities to take our show on the road a little bit and highlight what we do. And these are some of our happy golfers. We collaborate with PGA Able for some golfing clinics as well. And so our intake process, how you get connected to our clinic. So when new clients are enrolled in the Wellness Center, they'll be given the option to complete intake via one of two different intake pathways. First one is clinic-based intake, and that is when you just choose to attend an intake appointment during one of our once monthly clinic appointments, so that you will be seen by our medical director, the registered dietitian, myself, and then at that point you are forever part of the Wellness Center family and are able to sign up, register for any classes. And then we have a non-clinic based intake pathway. And this is something we just started about 2 years ago, just because we found that some families just didn't identify a need or a want for having to go through the clinic, but they really, and this was for more of our local families, so they didn't really feel the need for the medical consultation at this point, but they really wanted to like get their kiddo into hand chimes or Tai Chi or any of our classes. And knowing that our clinics are only 1 day a month, we didn't want that to be a barrier to people being able to engage in our programming. So this abbreviated intake process doesn't involve a clinic appointment. And it's just you get an abbreviated new patient paperwork to be completed and returned. And then prior to the first class that you attend, you and your loved one attend, I would just ask to meet with you 15 minutes before class, just as a sort of get to know you meeting. But regardless of whichever intake pathway is utilized, once intake is complete, you're forever part of the Wellness Center family. There's no requirement for ongoing clinic appointments. However, you're always welcome to schedule a follow-up appointment with Dr. Pelker at any time. And likewise, if the non-clinic based intake is completed, you are still welcome to schedule a clinic appointment should needs arise in the future. So the clinic is always available for you. It's just not a requirement to maintain class engagement. Areas for growth. This has been a big topic of conversation during our board meetings and just in general. We've been around since 2009, and there's been some evolution of the way that we provide services. Initially, families had to be seen in the clinic at least annually in order to continue to enroll in classes. And we found that it wasn't practical and it wasn't necessary for all of our families. So we did away with that requirement, but left it as an option, and we are always here when you need us. Just again, we don't want to offer a service that inadvertently makes itself a burden to participating in some of our other services as well. But we have our wish list of areas in which we would love to expand. We've been doing a lot of research into sort of other clinic styles that are out there. And right now we're not a clinic, we're a wellness center because we don't provide primary care and it's just consultation. Our ideal pie in the sky, we would love to be able to transition into a primary care clinic where you're not just seeing Dr. Pelker for a consultation. This could be a medical care home. And we've looked at a couple of different options, whether that was, strictly just seeing individuals with Down syndrome or whether it's a sort of friends and family clinic. As I'm sure y'all are aware, there's a lot of barriers out there. So it is not in our immediate future, but it's definitely something that we're trying to keep on our radar and would love to eventually work in that direction. Unfortunately, this isn't the best climate currently for expansion of medical services for just about any hospital system, probably. And so we're talking about sort of what is more practical areas of growth for us. So, in-house in St. Luke's, we're really looking at, how can we strengthen our internal network of St. Luke's specialists? Because I think The network of primary care providers that are out there is growing. Their level of competence is growing, and I'm sure that varies geographically, and sort of where you're located. But what we hear is that families are feeling more comfortable with their primary care. There's just the ongoing struggle of finding the specialists who have that experience and familiarity of working with our folks. So we're taking steps, trying to identify specialist providers within our St. Luke's network that we can continue to provide support to, and know that they have that commitment to working with our families. So that's our current goal, and something that we're working with hospital leadership on. We're also, up until this point, our nutritionist, while she has done classes for us, which have been great, the only individualized nutrition support we've been able to offer is within the context of the clinic appointment. So we had a family reach out, and they had expressed some interest in some individualized nutrition support for their young adult, as he was living outside of the house for the first time in a college setting, and making healthy choices, avoiding those freshman 15, I guess we'll say. So that kind of opened the door for us to talk about, like, is this a service that is needed and wanted? And what would that look like for us? And we're still kind of doing some, trying to figure out, like, do most insurance companies actually cover this if it's not associated with a specific medical diagnosis, if it is just general nutrition support. So we're definitely looking into this, but it seems like something that we probably will be able to offer for folks in the relatively near future, is just more individualized nutrition support should they need it via telehealth, and through insurance coverage. And then we're always exploring opportunities to expand our community partnerships to provide more extensive classes and programming. We are a small but mighty program. So we do sometimes run into issues with our classes filling up, and we just don't have either the physical space or the staffing to open it up a little more. So we're always looking into, like, how can we reach more people, so that we don't ever have a wait list for any of our classes. So this is our website if you ever want to just peruse what classes we're currently offering. You can just go to the main, like, Google St. Louis, and then in the search option, you can type in any combination of words from the name of our center, and it'll bring you to a link to us. This is where we have information on our classes and events, and we have bingo, craft night. We've got our Medicare waivers 101 for parents, caregivers. We do movie nights over at our auditorium, so it's like going to the movies, only you can wear your pajamas and bring your own snacks.